All right, we're back. My name is Jesse, and today we're doing a quick video on this Rheem hybrid heat pump hot water heater. I got this last year during Black Friday. I think it was like 1,300 bucks. I believe you can get these at Home Depot, but when I was pricing them out, they were like $1,500 to $1,800 at Home Depot. So it's a couple $100 cheaper on Amazon. I'll put a link in the description of the one I got. It's a 50-gallon Rheem hybrid heat pump hot water heater. I'll kind of go over just the install briefly, and then I'll kind of tie it back into my house and kind of my solar. But this is just a little quick review on this heat pump hot water heater. So we'll take a quick look at it real fast. All right, the install was pretty straightforward. If you've ever installed a hot water heater, it's very, very similar. You got your cold line here, your hot line right here, and then this one's your power. The one kind of unique difference on these heat pump hot water heaters is you have to account for the cold air that exhausts out of here. So it's currently running, and a lot of people like to ask like what the cold, how cold it gets, and it's currently running. It's like 45, 44 degrees, about 45, 43, somewhere around there. 40 degrees Fahrenheit is what it exhausts out. And that's the main reason why I got this, is because this room that we're in right now, it gets kind of warm, especially during the summertime, especially when the dryer's going, the washer's going. So it's going to help kind of cool this space down. The other thing you have to account for is condensation. So I think I'm going to do a video about kind of heat pumps and how they work, but I'll save that for another video. But a byproduct of these Rheem heat pumps is cold air and water. And so it's not a lot of water. It's just a couple of drips every time it kicks on, but you just have to account for that. And I just have this condensation going to the exterior of the house just with this PEX. And a lot of people, they will either route it to the exterior of the building, or they'll just route it to another drain they have nearby. If I didn't have this copper pipe already in the wall, I would have just routed it to this drain I have here where the washer kind of drains behind right there. But I already had that there, so I just routed it to the exterior of the building. So that was kind of the install. Nothing special with these. Just for my scenario, I wanted this ductwork to exhaust the cold air out this way towards the laundry room. But the install, just it kind of depends on where you live and the recommendation. So where I live, we don't need an expansion tank. I've installed one of these at my mother-in-law's house, and she put it in her garage, so we didn't really duct the cold air anywhere. It just kind of shot it straight into the garage. And then in her plumbing, they require an expansion tank. But with my house, I don't know if it's because it's an older house or what, but we just don't require it. So I didn't need one. So that's kind of just quickly the kind of install and a little bit of what's going on. Again, I think I'll do a video on the kind of heat pump technology. But essentially what's going on is you're bringing warm air through the top here, and it's being sucked through this kind of inlet here. It goes through the refrigeration cycle kind of in reverse, and it exhausts cold air out this way. And a byproduct of that refrigeration cycle is you get the condensation that goes out that way. Again, I think I'll do a video just kind of in depth, more detail, because I don't think I've heard of a good explanation, and I've been reading more about it. So we'll save that for another video. Quickly, I'll just kind of go over this PEX tool because I really, really like it. Okay, so I've never used PEX before, and I've just heard that it's super easy to work with, and I wanted to give it a shot. The other option is you could solder. I could solder, but that would have took me hours to do, and this literally took me minutes. And I was so impressed that I'm just going to do a quick little review. This I got on Amazon also. It's I think the brand is iCrimp. I'll put a just link in the description. I think this was like 25 bucks, and it's very, very worth it. So this is PEX A. You get this at Home Depot or Lowe's. They all sell it 3/4 inch. And the kit that I bought comes with these little crimps. You just have to buy the fitting. So if you're doing like a 90-degree elbow, or you're doing like a 45, or you're just connecting like another like coupling almost, then you just got to buy the fitting. They're usually plastic or brass, but once you put your fitting in there, or you put your crimp on first, then you put your fitting, and then you just pull your crimp to the end. These pliers are super easy to use. There's like a little kind of stub out right here. It's almost like a little nipple, and then these pliers are just perfect for that. You just grab onto that little nipple, squeeze, super easy, and then once you're done clamping, it's like a very, very, very strong connection. It was super strong. I was actually impressed how like sturdy it was and super easy too. So um, I highly recommend PEX, especially for 20 bucks. I mean, you can't beat it, especially if you got to do any like small plumbing work. Highly recommend it. All right, so uh, let's talk about why I got it. This is where I'll just quickly just tie it back a little bit into solar and kind of my house in general. When you're thinking about getting solar, it's always a good idea to do almost like an energy audit. I used an Emporia app, an Emporia monitoring system. If you want to learn more about it, I'll have a smaller video. I'll leave a link in the description if you want to check it out. But I'll briefly just kind of go over it. You install the Emporia monitoring app and in your electrical panel, and it'll tell you instantaneously like how much energy that appliance or that circuit is using. And so when I installed it in my house, the big ones that were drawing a lot of energy were the dryer. Every time the dryer would cycle on and off, it would pull about 5,500 watts. And then the water heater would pull about 5,000 watts. So just with those two appliances turning on at the same time, and if you're doing laundry, they're probably going to turn on at the same time, you're going to have 10,000 watts, almost 11,000 watts coming from the dryer and the hot water heater. And so that's a huge load for most inverters, like this 12,000 XP here. It can output 12,000 watts continuously. But once you go past 12,000 watts, it can go above like a surge, I think for like 16,000 watts for a few seconds, but not minutes, definitely not any longer than like a few seconds. And once you kind of go over that 12,000 watts of continuous output for more than a few seconds, you'll trip that inverter and you'll no longer be using your batteries and your solar. What'll end up happening is you'll bypass your whole solar system and you'll just start buying electricity from the utility grid, which kind of defeats the point of solar if you're constantly tripping the inverter because you're maxing it out and you're buying electricity. So the workaround, or not even the workaround, the options you have are get a more expensive, more capable inverter, or what a lot of people do is they just buy 2 or 3 or 4 of them, they parallel them, and then you have 12,000, 24,000, 36,000 watts of continuous output. Then you don't really have to worry about what kicks on or off because you have such a large amount of capacity in your output that it doesn't matter. But the problem with once you start getting 2, 3, 4 of these is it gets super expensive, very expensive, almost to the point where like it doesn't really make sense if you're going to drop 20, 30 grand. And not to mention the complexity and how labor intensive it is to start making all these connections and paralleling everything. The price starts to add up, the labor starts to add up. And I feel like most residential applications don't need 2, 3, 4 inverters. If you have a very big house, or you're running like a business out of your house, or a shop, or you got a garage and you're running a lot of appliances, then yeah, you're an outlier. But most residential homes, especially if you live like in the South or Southwest, you would benefit from getting energy efficient appliances like this Rheem. I live in Arizona and it's very, very hot here, super hot. And unless your house is super well insulated, you're always trying to keep your house cool. And so when you have appliances that are just creating a lot of heat, it's hard to keep your house cool, and you're just spending more and more money on air conditioning. And so the fact that our hot water heater like this, like it makes you hot water, but the byproduct is cold air, it's like a win-win. Especially in a room like this, it's on the warm side. But if you live somewhere where it's always cold, then these don't make as much sense. And the other thing I'll just mention is, if you can look at your house as a system, you can look at how you can make it run more efficiently. That's the kind of ideal way to go. And the way you're going to make it run, kind of make your house as a system be more efficient, is by getting appliances that are more energy efficient. And so the big ones are going to be your water heater, your dryer, and air conditioning or heating. And so that's where the heat pump technology is. That's why I'm going to make a later video, just because I haven't heard a good explanation. So I'm going to try and explain it myself, because I think I got a fairly decent idea. But the heat pump technology, instead of creating heat with electricity, a lot of electricity, it just moves heat around. And so it's way more efficient. It's way more efficient to move heat around than it is to create heat. So your traditional hot water heaters and your traditional dryers, they use a resistive heating element. And essentially that heating element is just like a piece of metal, and you just pump a bunch of electricity into that metal. It turns almost red, glowing red, very hot, and that's what's creating the heat to, heat your clothes in the dryer or heat the water in the tank, the hot water tank. But the heat pumps, they don't work like that at all. They're using the refrigerants and compressors. Your compressor inside this hot water heater is the only thing that's using electricity. And to run that compressor, I'll have to do like an update on this, or maybe I'll just put it in the comments so we could see like what the draw is. I think I've looked at it on the EG4 app. I've seen any draw anywhere from like 800 watts to like 600 watts. I'll have to do another test, but if this is running at 800 watts and my dryer, which is also a heat pump dryer, I got this used heat pump dryer on Facebook Marketplace for like $100, but they sell them. I've seen this one being sold at Home Depot for like $700. So if you have the heat pump hot water heater going and you have your dryer that's also a heat pump, well, now instead of drawing 10,000, 11,000 watts, you're just drawing 1,800, 2,000 watts max. And so it's a lot easier to run your entire house off. If your two big appliances that you're using quite a bit are only drawing 1,800 to 2,000 watts, as opposed to 10,000, 11,000 watts. And in my opinion, that's, if it's possible where you live, that's what I would go. I would spend your money on getting, making your house as energy efficient as possible. And usually that's going to be your water heater, your dryer, and your air conditioning or heating. So lastly, before I forget, the noise, that's another thing that I always hear talked about these, is they do have like a decent sound. It's like a humming kind of fan noise. You can hear it, but it's not any louder than my dryer or my washer. And when I'm doing laundry, you can't even hear that because the dryer and the washer are louder. So it's roughly the same noise as your washer and dryer. I will say these heat pump dryers and the heat pump hot water heaters, they do require a little bit more maintenance. So for instance, this dryer has this filter here, which most dryers have at least one like lint filter. That's what this is. But this one has that filter that you have to clean, and then it's got another filter at the bottom that you got to clean. And when you take this out, there's like another screen filter that you should be cleaning like once a month. This one I think you clean at every time it's a new load, and then this one you clean every time it's a new load. But there's like another screen where this gets inserted, and I think that one you clean like once a month. So because you're moving a bunch of heat around, you're filtering a lot of that air that gets moved around. So there's just a lot of filters you gotta just maintenance, clean them out. It's nothing it's nothing crazy. And then that's the other thing I forgot to mention is the water heater also has a filter right here, and they recommend you change that once a year, I think. Or you don't change it, you just rinse it out with hot water, or rinse it out with warm water once a year. So just a tiny bit more maintenance, and then that should wrap this one up. That's kind of just my opinions. If you're thinking about solar, you're trying to go like a budget friendly, kind of more DIY, easy friendly way to kind of get yourself slowly off the grid, slowly paying less to the utility company. That's the route I would go, because it's just way easier to just install a dryer or a hot water heater than to parallel 2, 3, 4 of those together. It's less it's just easy. And if your goal is to be more energy independent, not pay the utility company, save money, I think this is the route to go. But the other way works fine too. It's more complex, it's more money, but you're gonna not have to worry about swapping out dryers or washers. Your house just runs like it normally does. So it's kind of pros and cons to both, but this is kind of my preferred way to go about it. I just think it's easier and it's not that much more work. You got any questions, comments, put them in the chat in the comment section, and I'll get back to you guys.